Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system? Obviously.
Presenting 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe. It's time to put away your toys.
3DO from Panasonic, Gold Star, and Creative Labs. A new low price and free games.
Mind-blowing graphics of Panasonic Real 3DO. 3DO.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast where we talk about all things 3DO, the 3DO company, the console, and everything in between. I am Bill, and this is Threk. How you doing, Threk?
Oh, Bill, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I was telling our guest before we were talking that this week already feels like an eternity, and it's only Tuesday, but that's
You
all
say
part of...
that every motherfucking week. I swear to God, man.
I know. But speaking of that, we have a guest for this episode. We have Matt Storm from Fun and Games. How you doing, Matt?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me. Last time, Bill. So, Bill, if you ever need a guest to parachute last minute into a podcast, Bill is your guy because we had a guest bail, and literally within 30 minutes, Bill was in that episode. You'd never know it by hearing it, but yeah, our PlayStation 1 episode, our PSX episode, we need a guest last minute. So Bill joined us. It was a great chat. And then Bill, at the end of the episode, went, "You two should come on our podcast, talk about the 3DO." And I went, "I know nothing about 3DO." And Bill's like, "That's fine. That's even better. Just come on the show." And so, but I managed to find a game I've played before and replayed for the pod. But I'm happy to be here. I'm a fan of the show, fan of all that you guys do, and I'm excited to be a part of the show.
Every guest has basically said they know jack shit about the 3DO, and that's good. That we want that. We want people who don't know.
The funniest part about that PlayStation cameo was I was like coming off of like the worst sickness I've had in like a long time. I was like dying of the plague. I'm on the couch and I see that thing and I'm like, "Oh, they need a guest. What time?" And you're like, "Now." I'm like, 1 second, I'll be there in a moment." Like running down. I'm like, hopefully I don't sound like I'm dying.
You know, if you didn't show up because you were sick, I don't think anyone would have been mad at you.
No, not at all.
I'm the crazy podcaster who does too many shows.
I mean,
yeah.
As someone who used to be that person and has started to take it a little easier, I can relate.
But so with every podcast where we have a guest, we always like to ask, what did you know about the 3DO before coming on the show?
So, I mean, I know of it. I remember when it came out. I remember that it was a disc-based system and that it was like this big deal because the graphics were like supposed to be the most realistic graphics you could get at the time. I remember all the commercials for the 3DO, but I never owned one as a kid, and no one I knew owned one either. Usually with consoles I didn't grow up with, like I had some friend would have some console that I didn't have, and I'd get to play it. But the 3DO, I don't know that anyone had it growing up, and to this day I don't know that I've actually ever held a 3DO controller, but I've become more familiar with the library. Like I know we've joked offline about Balls 3D, which I played on the Sega Genesis, but I know was famously like developed for the 3DO, Lord knows why. But yeah, the knowledge was limited. I've learned a lot since starting to listen to your podcast, but I knew it was, Panasonic. They were trying to get into the big console war game and like really make something that had staying power, and clearly it did not. But yeah, it's all cursory and like things I've gleaned from like online over the years.
Nice. Sorry, I'm a mess today, but so we usually start the show off with a news segment.
Oh yeah.
How much has actually happened this week? I'm so like I'm like so disconnected from the world lately.
Well, there's all the Switch 2 nonsense. I don't know if we need to keep talking about that. Let's see. The big one I saw is so you know that app they're making for the Zelda games, right? For Switch 2. Apparently there's an option in that that'll actually let you repair weapons. But apparently it's some fucking like dice roll where you have to like roll a die once a day, and if you get it right, it'll fix a weapon, and if you want to fix another one, you gotta wait the next day, which is really stupid.
Yeah. Nintendo though wouldn't be Nintendo without weird integration to something. Like
Yeah.
the fact that we're getting a sequel to the Switch, we should all be thanking whoever for, because rarely do they do that unless it goes the route of the Wii U. So like the fact that we're getting another Switch that's more powerful and bigger is great. But we knew there were going to be some kind of gimmicks because that's Nintendo. They're a toy company.
I mean, I think it's so funny how people for years were saying to Nintendo they should just drop the gimmicks and just make a standard console. And now they're kind of doing that with Switch 2. And people are like, oh man, I miss the gimmicks. I'm like, you people will never be happy, will you?
To be fair, though,
there is sort of a gimmick with the mouse thing.
Yeah,
that is the most brilliant thing I've seen in gaming in a long time. I
like the idea. I'm just a little concerned with how it's going to be implemented. Like, it's not being shown as like it's like a main selling point. It's just like, oh, here's another cool thing it does.
Right. My theory is that it's the inroad to PC ports. Like, think about Baldur's Gate 3, which is definitely coming to the Switch 2 at some point, and that will have now mouse control or the controller style stuff that they've done for the PlayStation and the Xbox. Like, I think that makes sense. And then for shooters, right? Like they're showing it off with Metroid Prime 4, which is exciting. I will never play it that way because I am someone who likes to play first-person games with a controller standard. But like, I think that's a great idea. But like, think about Civ coming to the platform, like other strategy games. We could get like a Red Alert collection or some kind of like like some version of StarCraft 2, maybe. Who knows, right? Like, I think games that could only really operate on PC that can't operate on console now have an inroad to Nintendo in a way that they haven't for the other consoles.
Those sim ports they just did, they could put those on Switch. Those would be huge sellers on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully they fix the screen not working.
Yeah, they need to get those ready for console if they're going to do that. But
little backstory. My sister Alex, she is obsessed with The Sims 2. I get a message like a month ago where she's like, they broke it. And I'm just like, how? She's like, the most recent update, the screen no longer scrolls. I'm just like,
that's a big problem.
And I think like 2 months later, she was like, they fixed 4 of the corner, like of the directions, but you can't move right for some reason. And I'm just like, well, at least they're almost there.
I have a bad feeling they have the interns on that project, and that's why it's like kind of wonky. You know, feel bad for those people.
Well, EA is playing around with old code that most people that probably worked on it are no longer at the company, and the people that are working on it now might not even have been alive when it was coded. So
that's very possible. Absolutely. But yeah, with the whole like Nintendo thing, it was like a former Sony president said like, "Oh, Nintendo's losing their identity or whatever," and it was like a thing. And
no, like, this is very Nintendo. Everything about that.
Like they're fine. It'll be fine. It's not going to sell as well as the Switch 1, but you can't expect it to, right? Like,
well,
it's not going to happen.
Well, I don't think out of the gate, but the thing also about the Switch that led it to be the success that it is, because it's one of the few consoles that's actually made a profit on the hardware, which most hardware does not.
It's been making a profit for years at this point.
But it's over time and it's multiple SKUs. And so my suspicion is if they do a Lite, if they do an OLED, which I almost guarantee they will, though I'm annoyed we're not getting an OLED at launch because I love my OLED Switch. It could be their second best-selling system with pretty relative ease. I think the difference here is, and someone else said this much smarter than me, said this, but I can't remember who, so I can't credit them. This isn't being marketed as a kid's toy in the same way the first console was. This very much is being marketed as the last console came out at 8 to 10 years ago. Now those little kids are in college, or in high school. I want to advertise this as their console, right? It's this idea of advertising to the previous audience, not the new audience. But that said, I think there will still be stuff for kids on it. So we'll see. But you're right. I think it would be impossible for almost any console to outsell the Switch at this point.
It'll be like the 3DS compared to the DS, because the DS sold like 154 and the 3DS sold like 75 mil or whatever, which is very good. And I could see the Switch 2 doing that number.
Yeah.
But I think right now with like all the worry about like cost with games and all that, that's kind of a bit of an issue. And like gaming has changed quite a bit since the Switch 1 has came out. Like,
yes.
It's hard to think about, but like Nintendo treating this as just like a proper console to compete with everything and stronger third-party support. It's almost like the GameCube days. They're throwing their hat back into the ring, so to speak. They've
Yeah.
always been there, but I think stuff of like the rise of the Steam Deck also, I think, has pushed Nintendo to focus a bit more on the hardware and make
Yeah.
it more powerful to compete with everything, because they're just going to keep getting left behind as
Right.
things go on, and as like things become less console agnostic as well. Because I mean, how many of us, we have a Switch and we just play Nintendo games on it?
Oh, that's not me. I play everything on my Switch. It's my most used console. Like, it couldn't be me. Every indie game, I play everything on my Switch except for like The Witcher and like the higher graphically fidel.
I'll say Witcher 3
games.
on Switch is pretty solid.
Yeah,
It's
it
pretty
just
good.
doesn't look great, but it runs pretty well. I heard like it's a pretty locked 30, but it works.
Yeah,
well.
Basically, if all you have is a Switch and you want to play Witcher 3, you'll be just fine.
Yeah,
It's like
if you
Mortal
wanna play-
Kombat 11.
If you want to
where
play, Mortal Kombat 11 is fine, but Mortal Kombat 1, no.
no, yeah,
No.
Mortal
Batman
Kombat
Ar-
11 is funny because it plays perfectly, but it looks terrible. It is
Yeah.
like one of the funniest points
Yeah,
ever.
it's kind of the same with like Doom Eternal as well. Like
Yeah,
it
mhm.
plays pretty fine, but it looks kind of ugly. But now we're getting to like say Arkham Knight doesn't run well at all.
yeah. I almost
know-
bought that collection because I love those games, but
Oh,
I've
that's so
heard
good.
that the collection's great if you just want to play Arkham Asylum. If you want to play any of the other games, they
I
don't
think
run.
City was
runs
okay.
fine.
Yeah,
City was
runs
okay.
fine.
I'm
It's not
pretty
as good as
sure-
not as good as the original, but it
Yeah.
plays good
I'm
enough.
pretty sure City was based on the Wii U port.
Hmm.
'Cause they
I
got that
believe
game
so.
they got that game to run on the Wii U, so it
That's
could
true.
easily run on
Actually,
Switch.
Arguably, the Wii U port's the best way to play that game, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Not me.
Well, you don't like the big giant gloves?
I mean, that's cool, but it is what it is. In fact, the other day, for some reason, my son was looking at Mario Maker stuff, and I told him about the first Mario Maker on Wii U. He said, "Dad, you need to buy a Wii U for this." I'm like, "No, I'm not buying a Wii U for Mario. You have Mario Maker 2. It's a better game." And he's like, "Yeah, probably is a better game."
Do you remember original Mario Maker? How like they locked all of the unlockables? You had to play like for specific hours, and then like people were just messing with their in-game system clocks to unlock everything.
That's really weird.
Oh, it took me like 3 hours of just messing with the clock to unlock everything, and then fixing it after. It was such a weird choice.
So I just thought of this with the Switch 2 mouse stuff. Are they going to release like an update for Mario Maker 2 to have mouse support, or would they make Mario Maker 3?
So they haven't said. I assume they're going to work on a Mario Maker 3. That just makes sense to me. And maybe
I
on a
don't know
more
what you would do for a third one.
you
though.
incorporate the 3D games and start designing 3D levels with a more powerful system, and the importance of the GameCube's level and beyond will eventually probably get the Wii on Switch too as well.
My only concern is I think it wouldn't. It's not as inviting to make a full 3D level the same way it is to make a Mario 2D.
Oh, I would agree. Yeah.
So
As
it's
someone
like-
who tried to play Dreams, I can say, yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if Nintendo really wants to do. I mean, they did Game Builder Garage.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there is
or
precedent for that.
The alternative is they add Mario Wonder sprites and resources.
Yeah, they could do a Switch, or how about like a Switch 2 edition of Mario Maker 2 that adds in, say, Mario Wonder,
Right.
maybe the original Mario Brothers 2. I was really hoping they would do a Mario 2 level.
Lost
Yeah.
levels,
No,
perhaps.
No, that's just Mario 1, and it sucks.
But it looks,
though-
it looks
I mean,
different, though.
I
The
mean, they
graphic
could add,
style.
they could add like the wind effects and some of
Yeah.
that more crazy stuff. But that's like open for possibility.
When I said Lost Levels, I meant like Mario All Stars, not Lost Levels.
Mario
All Stars would be
yeah.
cool. I would
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
I would love those styles. That's like I've played all of those games multiple times, but like some of my fondest memories, I had the All Stars plus Mario World pack, with all of them, and to this day, I think the greatest deal in gaming as far as having all of those games and the latest Super Nintendo game. I replayed Super Mario World a couple years ago, and it's still probably the best 2D Mario game ever made. It just so
someone
smooth.
on my side for once.
So smooth. I love Mario 3. Don't get me wrong.
I'm a Mario 3 guy.
I love Mario 3, but there's something about Super Mario World and how breezy and easy it is if you want it to be, and also one of the most insanely hard Mario games ever if you want it to be.
Yeah.
And it's got like, I love all Mario music, but I think some of Koji Kondo's best work is in World. It's just so damn catchy.
The tunes are really good. It's just I've never been the biggest fan of the SNES sound chip. So it's just again,
Couldn't be me.
It could just be that I grew up with the Genesis, and that's just
Fair.
how I
So
attribute it. You know,
I love the Genesis, and I will admit that like Streets of Rage 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic 2, those games have songs that you could never get on the Super Nintendo. It's just they were designed and composed with that sound chip in mind, and they sound incredible. But then you've got soundtracks like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI and like, Turtles in Time.
Yeah, like the RPG soundtracks are fantastic. I mean, F-Zero is great on there as well.
Mute City,
Star Fox.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Big Blue guy, but Mute City is great as well.
Big Blue is also really good.
I know, it's just like Mario World. For some reason, its soundtrack, like the tunes are good, but just the quality of the sound didn't hit for me as much.
I mean,
that's my same thing with Mario World. I feel like it just doesn't hit for me. It's a great game, but like when everyone's like, "This is like the best thing ever," I'm like, I think Mario 3 is so much more interesting of a game.
I mean, everyone's been praising Wonder, and I just think it's fine. Like, it's not bad.
This is the Mario Wonder hate podcast.
I won't say hate. We just think it's mid, at least.
So, like, the graphic
felt gaslit
a little bit, yeah.
Me.
And I'm a big 2D Mario fan. I like the 3D games better. It's funny with Zelda, I prefer the top-down 2D, like the 3D. Mario, I'm the opposite. Like, I like the 2D, I really do, but I prefer the 3D. But like, I can't deny that Mario Wonder looks great. It looks incredible. But like playing the stages, I'm like, these are fun, but it feels like more New Super Mario Brothers. Like the new power-ups aren't that different. The fun stuff that the Wonder Flower does or whatever is fun. But like none of it jumps out to me as like the best 2D Mario game ever or this big success in the way that it was marketed. It's a great game. It's full of joy and wonder, and it's fun. But as someone who comes to Mario games as an adult who's played every other Mario game, it just doesn't. It like to me, Bowser's Fury is the best thing Mario has done in decades. Like even better than Odyssey, I would say. And I love Odyssey, but like something about that open world, that open zone, and going to the different worlds within that open zone just felt like that's what I want from another Mario game. Wonder just felt disappointing comparatively.
I think with 2D Mario, they have to like completely reinvent the wheel, especially post Mario Maker. They have to do something completely different. And Wonder is them taking maybe like a half step with trying some new things and some new ideas, but like it's still fundamentally the same game at the end of the day, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's fun to play. It's just not this revelation that other folks I think made it out to be.
Yeah, it's sitting at like a 90 some on Metacritic, and I'm like, no.
I think I was just salty that it came out around the same time as Sonic Superstars, and everyone acted like Sonic Superstars was nothing, and I'm like,
they were acting like that. They were acting like that was the retread, and I'm like, I think Superstars is trying to be a little bit more different than Wonder is.
So Superstars was interesting, but it was bad. Those boss battles were unnecessarily hard.
Boss battles were bad, but I think that game's a bit underrated.
So I got it day one. The gameplay is fun level to level, but when I got stuck on the giant robot boss and found out it was like the third to last boss, I wasn't even at the end of the game yet. I was like, forget this game, I'm done. And I wanted a new 2D Sonic. Like I loved Sonic Mania. I'm a big, Thrag. I'm a diehard Sonic fan, but like, yeah, Superstars just felt disappointing, especially considering how great Mania was. I was like, we're getting another 2D Sonic game. It's going to be great. And it just wasn't.
Yeah, Mania's kind of legacy looms large over any future 2D Sonic game, especially if it's not going to be done by the same people.
Yeah.
So with Superstars, I'm really hoping they do a Superstars 2.
Yeah.
And because there is a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy my time for the most part. But yeah, the bosses were just bad.
Well, I mean, that's why I really loved Frontiers and wanted to celebrate it, because
it's
not the best 3D Sonic game, but it's the best one we've gotten in a while. And I think for us, it's a pivot in the right direction. The story was great. The boss battles were a blast. And like the exploration was fun. There was just not enough to do. But like, I loved that game. And I think that a sequel could really, especially on a more powerful console like the PS5, could really show us like what this game can do.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's what Sega's working on. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like Superstars 2 and Frontiers 2, because I think when Frontiers came out, Ezuka was like, yeah, this is the beginning of a new era.
Yeah,
they're like, this is what we're gonna do. We're not gonna like every couple years do something completely different. You know,
Yeah,
They're like,
don't-
we're just sticking with the formula, which I
Don't
think
have
is the
like
way-
a colors generations like it's working, change everything.
do
Like,
Lost
situation-
World, do Mario Galaxy. Why? It's 2014.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I remember that generation. It's like they finally did it. A good Sonic. We're in the right place. It's like change everything. It's like
But we did get
Okay.
Shadow Generations,
which is the
was
best Sonic game
fucking
they've made in
phenomenal.
30 years. Yeah,
Yes.
without
so
a doubt.
good. It's
Like,
so good.
and also as someone who's Knuckles is my favorite character, but as someone who's loved Shadow since his inception, and he was so poorly managed as a character, the fact that we both got the really great movie and that game, like I feel like the history has shifted on that character now.
Yeah, and a pretty decent remaster of Generations. Like I know
Yeah.
some people had some issues with bugs, but I think they've
Yeah.
ironed those out now. So
It played great to
unironically
me.
really like Shadow the Hedgehog the game, not because it's good, just because it's amazing
Yeah,
for all the wrong reasons.
it's such a mess. I'll eventually play it one of these days.
It's such a
I've kind of
mess.
He
I've kind
karate
of
chopped
avoided
Eggman to death at one point. It's like, what is happening here?
it's just one of those things. Anyway, news. Let's see. Xbox has announced their big June showcase. It is on June the 8th, and they're ending it with an Outer Worlds 2 Direct,
Oh, cool.
which says to me they're like, we don't really have much in the Outer Worlds 2. Why not? Because they're not going to do another Call of Duty Direct. You know, they did that last year. So, but yeah, this is on June the 8th. I don't think they've said how long it will be. My guess is it'll. They're usually what, like hour and a half, I think.
It depends.
Yeah, and the rumors are flying with this one already. I've seen Silk Song, poor bastard.
Yeah,
We'll get 3 seconds of it in a compilation of a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
And no one will notice.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
so funny.
That was so good. But I'm seeing other stuff like we might finally see that Gears of War collection. Like
Mhm.
that's been rumored for a while, and that would make Gears multiplat as well. We might see more of Fable. We might see more Perfect Dark. The one immediately people attached to, because we had the rumors about it before, was the Persona 4 remake. Because the
Yeah,
rumors of a Persona 4 remake are happening, and the Persona 3 Reload was first shown at a Xbox showcase, so it lines up.
yeah.
I won't get my hopes up until I see it. That's basically how I go.
I mean, the rumors from that popped up so much, it's like it's probably going to happen. I mean, Reload sold really well,
Yeah.
so it's like they have the engine for it. It's just make Persona 4 assets and just do it again. You know,
Yeah.
See,
I'm just
really
pissed because I'm
excited.
like, I've now finally beaten that game. I'm gonna have to beat it again another year. I mean, not that I'm complaining that much, but it's like, fuck.
I mean, you're talking to the guy who's beaten it like 30 times at this point. So.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be the worst if they remake it, because I'm gonna be like super like picky on everything. Like I'll be like,
Of course you are. Well, because then everyone's gonna be like, oh, is it gonna be Vanilla 4 or is it just gonna be based on Golden?
if they don't do
And-
Golden, that'd be dumb, because Golden is
Yeah.
just better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Maria, but you just do it. Who fucking cares? But yeah,
Yeah,
Sorry,
I,
You
I
can
was
say that.
no, it's okay. I was gonna say, so I've started 4 several times, and I want to play through it. I have it on Switch, and I will. It's long, and time is a circle. But
That opening is slow.
yeah, but I will say that the biggest rumor that I've seen that's basically all but confirmed now because of leaks is the Oblivion remaster. They were calling it a remake, but I don't think it is. I think it's just like I think it's basically that game in the Skyrim engine, which is basically a remake, but as I understand it, like they're not really tweaking a ton of stuff. But Oblivion is my favorite of the Elder Scrolls games. I love Skyrim, but Oblivion will always be my favorite, especially the PC version modded to hell. So I'm excited for a remaster on modern consoles. I think that'd be a fun thing to have. I'm excited for this direct because I feel like Xbox has kind of gotten their shit together finally. I was just earlier today praising South of Midnight, which I finished today, and is probably one of the most original and phenomenal action platforming games I've played since Psychonauts 2, which was also on their platform first. So I think they're doing some really great stuff. I loved Avowed. I was an Avowed cheerleader. Like everyone's like, it's fine. I was like, no, this is like what a sequel to the Skyrim game should be. It's focused. It's cool. It's got its own aesthetic. Loved Avowed.
It's based in Pillars of Eternity.
It's
isn't
based
it?
in Pillars of Eternity, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like Obsidian better than Bethesda anyway. Like Obsidian, I love Fallout New Vegas, best Fallout. I love Avowed now. Like, you know,
South Park Stick of Truth.
South Park Stick of Truth is an
Yeah.
incredible RPG.
Even though I
love
like
that
Fractured
game.
Butthole better, but that's
They're both
They're
good,
both very
but
good.
they
they're
both are
different-
good. They're both
different
very good.
enough. Yeah,
I just like I like the
wanna
superhero theme more than the.
that's fair. I want to replay Stick of Truth. It's been a very long time.
But that said, like, I am excited about the Outer Worlds because like the Outer Worlds 2, because like when I played the first game, I was like, all right, people are saying it's mid, and I loved it, and that like cemented them as my favorite of this like kind of Western RPG studio. And so that the fact that that game is getting a sequel, and I loved Avowed so much, I'm in. Like day one purchase for me, no second thought.
And also with Indiana Jones coming out last year as well, which was fantastic. That was my game of the year.
I need to play it.
It's so good.
Once it comes out on PlayStation.
That's basically what I'm waiting for, because to me
It's
that's
coming.
because I only have Game Pass on PC, which I don't mind, but like Indiana Jones to me is a big TV game. Like I need to be playing that on the big TV. Like all the Yakuza games I play on the big TV. Like there's something about the cinematic games that I need on the TV. So when it comes out on PS5, which I think is later this month, I'm definitely gonna pick it up.
As somebody who has played on a big TV, it is fantastic with that, and it's super fun. Like when the DLC comes out, because it's getting DLC, I think later this year. I'll probably go back in, maybe get the achievements I missed and go through the DLC, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, I want to replay. I kind of want to go back in, but I'll wait for the DLC. But yeah, Xbox has had a really good run of games last couple months, and I think they're going to keep it going. I mean, we have Doom coming out.
Yeah.
Which is going to be big, and then the Outer Worlds 2. You got the Oblivion remake, which, from what I know, I think some people were saying remake because they're remaking it in Unreal Engine 5.
I think we've lost.
So they're not making it.
Remake has
Skyrim
kind of gotten
engine.
lost over the years.
Yeah.
Well, by the truest definition, they are remaking the game from scratch
in a new engine,
in a completely new engine. Yeah, like doing Oblivion in Skyrim is, I think it's the Sky Oblivion fan thing.
Yeah.
Which somebody asked me, they're like, did Bethesda take that down? I'm like, I don't think they would. They've never been that kind of. I don't think they give a shit.
Yeah.
Because most of us will probably just play this. I've been wanting to play Oblivion for a while because I had it on my 360 back in the day, but my 360 red ring, so I never got far in it. And then I tried revisiting it a couple months ago and was like, no.
It is hard to go back to. It is hard to go back to.
So yeah, and it's supposedly shadow dropping next week.
Well, I guess I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, I mean that's what Grubb is saying, and
we've been having a lot of shadow drops.
He's sticking to it. He's sticking to it,
and he's pretty accurate. I'd say more accurate often than others. So
yeah, his reputation has improved a lot over the years.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's the thing. They don't even really need to shadow drop it. They could in theory, they could have saved it for the June showcase and shadow dropped it then.
Yeah.
Like that would have been like a big moment. But
I mean, the rumor is also it's going to be a Switch 2 launch title, which would be awesome. I'd love to play that on the Switch.
It's going to be on everything because why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I guess the other game rumored for the Xbox showcase is Minecraft Dungeons 2.
Sure. I played a little bit of the first one. It was fun.
Sure,
like not for me, but like a fun game.
I'm just surprised they're bothering to do a sequel for it, but sure, why not? But yeah, that's in June 8th. We'll see how that goes. So we will see. Let's see what else happened. Mafia: The Old Country's release date got leaked for August 8th. So I'll be playing that when that comes out. Let's see. Oh, somebody interviewed Toys for Bob about some stuff because they're working on a secret project with Microsoft, Spyro 4. I wonder what it could be.
Yeah, I know, right?
And somebody asked them about other things they'd like to do, and they were immediately like, we'd love to do Banjo-Kazooie. Wouldn't that be awesome if we did Banjo-Kazooie? Phil Spencer, could we do Banjo-Kazooie, please? They're basically asking to do it. And I'm like, yes, let them do it.
Please let Toys for Bob do that. That'd be amazing. As someone who just replayed Banjo-Kazooie, that game absolutely holds up, but it was so much better to play it on the Switch with the replica N64 controller. Mm-hmm. It's not necessary per se, but I think my psychology, like the controls feel right with the handholds that way. And I'm so used to it because I grew up playing it that way. And I 100%ed that thing. And I'm not someone who does that platinums or 100% anything anymore, but like getting into that end of the game and missing like 10 notes and like 3 jiggies, I'm like, well, I might as well get them. And it was fun. I really enjoyed my replay of it. You might see me on another show on this network talking about it soon. really bad at keeping secrets. But yeah, I would love for a new game in that series, because I think it's still, there's still life there.
I mean, people beg for it all the time,
All
so
the
that's
time.
like they might as well. Like they could, I mean, they could just remake the first game. If Microsoft is a little weird about giving them Banjo 3, it's like just have them remake the first game, and they would be fantastic, because they did the Spyro remakes, and that was great. Crash 4, so they're up to the task. I guess it's just how long it'll take to get Spyro 4 out the door. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully not super long, because they announced that, or they said they were working on a game. What was it? I think it was last year, because when all the Activision stuff
we
happened.
mentioned it when it happened.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, hopefully that happens. Let's see. A Bungie finally announced a marathon.
I'm curious. Like, I don't have any tie to previous versions of Marathon. I never played them, but like, I like Bungie. I like Destiny 1 and 2. I stuck with Destiny 1. Destiny 2 I played on and off over the years. They're incredible developers. I love, the original Halo trilogy and stuff. So like, I'll play a new Bungie game to play a new Bungie game, but I don't have any particular excitement for this by name alone. But like, the trailer was cool. Ben Starr, of course, in it, because he's in everything. So like, I'm curious, but I don't. There's no excitement for this one. It's just something I'll check out.
I think
curious why they haven't re-released the old ones, because I always remember the old ones were always notable. They were like notable as like the Apple Doom style games that were better than most.
Yeah.
Well, I think the original. Let's see. Okay, it's not the original. I know one of the Marathon games I've seen like for purchase on my Xbox. I forget which one it is though. It might be like Marathon 2 or something, But yeah, it's weird because this is like a bit of a pivot for the series, I think. Like, it's not single player, it's a team-based extraction shooter. And the graphics take a more kind of, I guess, like kind of Fortnite-y type look, I guess. Because the trailers dropped and the reception was not very positive. People were kind of poo-pooing on how it looks, and that how, because since Marathon was an older series, them reviving it in this way is not really what people want, I guess. Some people are predicting Concord on this one. And it is coming to all, and it is coming to all platforms. So a Sony game on Xbox, Bungie, it's Bungie. Who gives a shit? But they haven't said what the price is going to be. I guess it was like Wario 64 said like, oh, it was going to be full price, and Marathon said no, it's not, but it's a premium title. And it's like, what does that mean? It's $60 instead of $70?
Yeah, right. Like, what does that even mean?
I don't know. The whole thing's weird, and I know ever since Bungie got acquired by Sony, they've been nothing but a thorn in their side, at least from what I've heard.
Yeah,
Bungie's been a thorn, or Sony's been a thorn? Because I've heard it's Bungie's being the pain.
No, Bungie, but that's kind of Bungie's reputation. Like, they were pains in the ass when they were with Microsoft, and now they're pains in the ass when they were with Sony. It's like, I think it's just Bungie. They just like to, from what I've heard, they like to spend a lot of money and just kind of dick around.
They're stubbornly independent, which I do respect, but at the same time, sometimes they need to relax a little.
Yeah, exactly. So, but who knows? Maybe Marathon will actually be really good. I don't know. I have no intentions of playing it because I don't give a shit. But we'll see. I mean, fair. Sony needs something, right? Like, it's what, this and Ghost of Yote? Is that it?
I mean, Ghost of Yote looks amazing.
It does look great. I mean,
I love the
trust
first Ghost of Tsushima, so yes.
I trust Sucker Punch to make good stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting another Last of Us too, but
oh, they're bundling them together again.
Yeah.
For like $100.
I like when people were getting mad about the remasters and stuff, it's like, to a point I understood, but also I get, like, these are the best selling games they've ever made. They have a hit TV show. They want people to play them. New fans totally get it. But this collection just feels like it's for money and that's it, right? It just, there's no, now that there is a remake of 2 on PS5 and they already remade 1 on PS5, they're already both on PS5. So to make a collection where they're both a little cheaper, it just seems so damn bizarre. And like, we already know they're working on an incredible new property. space action something, who knows, right? Like
Intergalactic, the Heretic Project,
looks awesome. I mean, we saw a Kumail Nanjiani cameo in like a Wanted poster. Like, it looks like it's going to be cool. And like, I love Naughty Dog. I love Uncharted. I love the Last of Us games. I'm so excited they have a new franchise, because if anyone's going to do awesome with a new franchise, it's Naughty Dog. They know how to write stories. But like, stop re-releasing your old games. Or like, where are the other Uncharted games? Lost Legacy like got no fanfare. It's the best Uncharted game, and like, it was just shunted onto the PS4. And it's a pretty good port, and I loved it. But like, where's the love for that game? Why is that? Like, I don't understand why we keep re-releasing.
Where's the Jack and Daxter collection?
They don't know how to make Jack and Daxter anymore. The last time they tried to make Jack and Daxter, they made The Last of Us.
Yeah.
That's how
it. They should
happened.
get like Blue Point to do like. Imagine like Blue Point did like a Jack and Daxter collection.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Who did the?
I've still never played them.
What did you say, Bill?
I forgot, because they ported them to PS4. I forgot who did that.
They did. Oh, they did port them to PS4. I have no idea. Let me check.
The first game is a very excellent Mario 64 style game with some of the most impressive loading tech I've ever seen in a video game, especially from like 2001. 2 and 3 are just GTA games, basically.
It was what was popular at the time.
They're good games. They're just, it's like, you can see exactly, like, you're like, yeah, this is after Grand Theft Auto 3. Right?
So I know the PS3 collection was done by Mass Media.
Yeah, there's no PS4 collection. I thought it was only on PS3.
Yeah, because PS3 was when they were doing like the Sly collection and the Ratchet and all that stuff.
The collection was never released on PS4, but they did digitally put the games on the store.
Okay. Those honestly might just be like emulations that they just slapped together.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're probably not great ports.
I mean, I haven't heard one way or the other.
The Mass Media collection wasn't very good. Like, the Vita version is unplayable. It's like that
sucks. Because I remember the Sly collection on PS3 was really good.
Well, that was made by Sinzaru, who were like massive fans of Sly Cooper.
Yeah. They didn't have a good pedigree before those, but they were just, they just wanted to do it, and they pulled it off. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And yeah, the whole Last of Us thing, because like, we're presumably getting Last of Us 3, but how long is that going to be?
I wouldn't presume.
The end of 2 is sequel bait. Is absolute sequel bait.
It is, but they've said literally nothing, and they avoid that question like the plague. So I don't know.
They haven't gone out of their way to say they're not making a sequel this time.
Right.
My guess is they don't really know where to go with the sequel.
Right.
And kind of all the controversy around part 2 makes them like, they don't want to talk about it too much, because they're just like, we'll figure it out. We want to do this new thing first, which I think them doing the new thing is better.
Yeah, me too.
Let the series rest, give it some time so that when it comes back, it'll feel like a big deal again.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I want a new Uncharted. I know a lot of folks don't. I love the way 4 ended, but like Lost Legacy left some stuff open. I'd much rather play a game as Chloe anyway.
Oh yeah.
And so like, give me a sequel to Lost Legacy. So
I want a Sully prequel so bad.
I was saying I either want
it will never happen.
Yeah. I either want a Chloe game where Chloe, Nadine, and maybe Sam do some stuff, or like a Sam and Sully game, because they team up at the end of 4 as well.
Yeah,
I love that idea, but I think we'll have to see, because I think Sony may be starting to change their direction a little bit. If the rumored God of War side game that's in Greece like is real and that comes out and it does well, then maybe Sony's like, oh, we can do smaller side things. And maybe they would treat Uncharted in that way, which I think would be fine.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see what they do. But speaking of other new games, that rumored Star Wars tactical thing has officially been unveiled as Star Wars Zero Company. Well, they've announced that they're going to announce it. So we got the title and the key art, and I guess it's going to be at like the Star Wars celebration that's in Japan. I think on Saturday, but there was like the leaked images that basically looks like Star Wars XCOM.
I'm in. Let's go.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm down. It's
being done by
Respawn, I think, right?
Respawn is helping, but they're not like the main developer. It's Bit Reactors, the main developer. While cool. Respawn is helping. I guess Respawn just they help out with Star Wars games. I guess.
I mean, they know some of the best. Yeah, so. the 2 Jedi games are some of the
They're
best.
really
Although I really liked Outlaws. A lot of people didn't. I thought it's one of the best non-Jedi games they've made in a long time. The stealth was kind of broken, but like the story I thought was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had to play Outlaws eventually.
I think it's
was
worth
for
it if you can like ignore the nonsense on the internet, which is not always easy. I think it has some really cool new characters. I like there is.
I mean,
not
if
a
you want to
single
read
Jedi.
some nonsense on the internet, look up stuff about South of Midnight. Jesus Christ.
I will not engage with that.
It just made me laugh because I'm
Yeah.
like, you people have no shame.
This is why I hang out on Discord and nowhere else.
It's honestly the smart thing to do.
Yes, good choice.
I think this is over, but like Metro just had its 15th year anniversary, and they
released it for free on Steam and GOG for a handful of days.
Yeah, it was until so basically by the time this comes out, it'll be like the last time to get it. So
Yeah.
if you guys have not grabbed Metro 23 Redux, I highly recommend you grab it. It is a fantastic game. Last Light was also a fantastic game. I need to play Exodus. I will do that later this year. And they even asked about the future, the next like Metro 4, basically. And they are working on it. But 4A is a Ukrainian-based studio, so they've been, dealing with some stuff. And they said basically, shorthand version that a lot of what has happened over the last couple of years will be influencing the next Metro game.
Which makes sense. Yeah, I just downloaded it. As someone who has a love-hate relationship with first-person shooters, I've heard nothing but great things about this game, and so I do intend to play it at some point. Might not be this year, but it's on my short list of shooter games to jump back into.
Basically, if you enjoy like single-player shooters,
Mhm.
like BioShock, like Half-Life,
Yep.
Titanfall, even, then
Oh,
Metro
Titanfall.
then Metro will be right up your alley because it is
Perfect.
a pure single-player story-based game. That is a first-person shooter. It has a bit of a survival, almost kind of sim element to it, but you can turn all of that off and just treat it like a regular shooter, kind of like whatever flips your switch. And yeah, the story is fantastic. The characters are great. Like the ending of the first game is really, really powerful, and it leads right into the second game. And the second game does a good job of keeping the story going. Its ending is kind of whatever. But I'm curious to see where Exodus goes with it, because I know Exodus, it's a bit more open world. They kind of open things up a little bit more, so I'll find out. But yeah, the Metro games are definitely well worth your time. So
Cool. That's good
if you
to
want
know.
a really like challenging experience, go for survival. But if you're like, fuck that, you
No
can just
way.
hit Spartan. You can hit Spartan and be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite guns ever is in Metro 2033. Near the end of the game, you get a shotgun made out of bicycle parts.
This sounds like my favorite gun in a game now. My new favorite gun.
It's pretty fucking cool. Like all the stuff that they do that are like, it's all tied into like the surviving under the Metro after the bombs go off and the things that they do is really fantastic. Like the world is really well developed.
Awesome.
And I think it's because the author of the book, the original book, he has hand in all the games as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's all tied together. So
yeah, someone who tried to play Crisis again for the first time, technically second time, and absolutely hated it and ate shit after like 3 hours of dying over and over again on the first stage. I went, well, I'm not going to play this. I realized
I'm told the sequels to Crisis are a lot better.
That's what I've heard.
It definitely improves itself.
Yeah.
So, and then the last bit of news I have is a big shocker. The Minecraft movie did really well.
Yeah,
it's at $550 million.
So, I went to the theaters not to see that, to see the Kaiju number 8 movie, but Minecraft was playing in like it was terrifying. I was like, we're just trying to get to our dumb anime movie in the corner, and there is a madhouse. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean
it's Minecraft, dude. It's something that like, God, it's been going for 15 years, and it is still just as big as it was when it first came out.
People are bringing live chickens into the theater. Like that's a thing.
Don't do that, guys.
People are doing that. It's scary.
Look, I'm fine with throwing the spoons for Rocky Horror or The Room or whatever, but
Plastic.
like, don't do this shit with like live animals. Leave them alone, okay?
Yeah, I am not surprised it did well. I mean, I think that it's funny every time there's a successful video game movie. I was like, the curse is broken. The curse has been broken for a long time. Detective Pikachu did well. Mario Brothers did well. The Sonic movies have done well. What I like is that it seems like these movies are now starting to carve out their audience. Like and find a rhythm that works. I didn't see anything in the Minecraft movie that would interest me, and I like Minecraft. I like Jack Black. But that said, I'm not surprised. Like, it was made to be a kitschy, goofy kids movie, and that's what it was, and so it was successful. That doesn't surprise me at all.
And I think the film industry really likes these video game movies because they are bringing in the money.
Yes,
that a lot of other movies have not been.
Yep.
So they will keep happening as long as the money rolls in. As long as they all aren't Borderlands. As long as we're not getting those.
See, I always wonder what that alternate universe is where the director for Sonic didn't listen to the fans and change the design.
Right.
That could have changed everything.
That could have, yeah.
Well, people would have seen it to hate watch it probably, but
yeah,
it probably would have been the same movie, which like people would have went to hate watch and go, it's actually not that bad. But
the design is terrible.
They wouldn't have been able to get over the design, which I kind of agree with. Like if something is that annoying for you and you can't look past it, it's difficult, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if we would have gotten a Sonic 2 movie.
Yeah. And now we're getting a Sonic 4. So, and I'm not complaining because I've loved all of those ridiculous movies.
Three. Oh, yeah. I was shocked that the third movie is arguably the best one out of the trilogy.
Right.
I mean, it's like the games. Third one's the best one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, also for me, as someone who grew up on Sonic Adventure games, still claims they are good, though people disagree. The fact that we got basically a Sonic Adventure 2 movie is still mind blowing to me. And like anyone my age who grew up on that stuff, when they both go Super Saiyan at the end of that movie, I'm weeping. Like it's playing Live and Learn.
The moment that got me was that opening scene where they're playing the acoustic guitar, and I'm like, it's Live and Learn. It's Live and Learn.
Yeah.
Well, like Sonic Adventure 2 is so baked into like the fandom and the mythos behind Sonic that when I saw they were doing Shadow, I'm like, that's exactly what they're gonna do. Yeah. Because Sonic Adventure 2 is still a beloved game. Adventure 1 depends on who you ask, but Adventure 2.
I mean, I love Adventure 1 because
I like Adventure 1 as well.
Because it is the way it is.
But like Adventure 2 is just, it's still considered one of the better games in the series. And a lot of it is because it's a much more streamlined game than Adventure 1. It introduces Shadow, and it was right at the tail end of like the Dreamcast going into the GameCube. So a lot of people played it on the GameCube. And of course,
it's also not held together by duct tape.
Yeah.
And lest we forget the Chow Garden.
Yes, of course. Why we haven't gotten a Chow Garden game at this point is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah,
Sega must not like money.
I mean, if they did it now, it would be some kind of mobile gotcha game bullshit. But
I would still play it.
Eat it up. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I would still play it.
Everybody I know wants a Chow Garden game. I told them it would just be a mobile gotcha game. They're like, I'd do it anyway.
That's like with everyone who's played the Yakuza series wants a Cabaret. There's a Cabaret mini game. They want a Cabaret game separate. And I was like, it'll also be a gotcha mini game, and I will buy it.
See, I want to see if they could give me the Like a Dragon business sim on my phone.
Same thing.
I would play the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I loved that so much.
It's like when Persona 4 released a dancing mini game, like rhythm game, and I was like, I'm gonna buy that.
Yeah.
just because.
Every day is great at your June S.
You can dance to the June S theme, and it's got full lyrics. It's amazing. You play as Nanako. It's wonderful.
Amazing.
I love you're just like, it's really good. Shut up. But anyways, that was all the news. I mean, we could have went in about the Switch terrace, but who fucking cares? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Yeah. We'll find out. My guess is the price isn't going to change. That's my prediction. Yeah. It's going to be the same price. They just delayed it because everything's fucking shitty. But my guess is when it comes back, the price will be the same, and we'll just deal with it.
The only other thing I saw was we got more Nintendo music. It's not super exciting this week though.
Oh, I didn't look. I've forgotten about it. Hold on.
This is a recurring theme on our show now. Is we always are like new Nintendo music, and we're all either like, "Ooh, that's cool," or
no, and then one of us guesses it, and usually we're just whelmed by it.
That entire app is like just whelmed, to be honest.
I wanted so much more from that, and I'm so sad with that app. It could have been so much better.
We finally got Zelda 1.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why wasn't that there from day one?
Right.
But we also get the Famicom Disk System version.
Okay, I'll need to check that out because I actually have.
That's actually dope.
Yeah. Oh, and I think they added NES Metroid as well, or did they do that a while ago?
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago, but a good one. Although Fusion's
that's
still
how-
not on there, and Fusion's
that-
my favorite.
But that's how bad the releases are. Whenever I look at it, I'm like, oh, that game. They're like, that's been there. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Donkey Kong Country 3 got released and everyone was like, are you sure that wasn't there the whole time? I'm like, no.
The fucking, again, the absolute nerve of Nintendo with this goddamn app. The absolute nerve.
Drip feeding music is a choice. That's all I'm going to say.
So weird. But
It's
I
a
can go on
Nintendo- it's the most
Spotify, and
Nintendo
most
thing
of the Sonic
ever.
soundtracks are right there.
Yeah. And they're all on YouTube. So it's not like they are the only ones
Yeah.
providing it. It's just the only official channel for it.
Yeah. But like I can go on Spotify and look up the Sonic soundtracks, and most of them are there.
Yep.
The Buck
You know.
Bumble soundtrack is on Spotify. I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice.
When Buck
That's really
Bumble
funny.
is owning Nintendo, you know something's fucked up.
Look,
Well,
all
let's-
I know is that Argonaut Studios is back and they made Buck Bumble along with Ubisoft. And so it could be the golden age very soon. We could see a return of Buck Bumble. And I'm ready for it.
I just want iNinja back. I'd do anything for iNinja. I love that game so much. Give me it on my Series X with achievements. I will 100% that game. It'll be a whole thing. I love iNinja to death. I grew up on it. So, but all right, we're finally here.
Wouldn't be 3DO if we spent half the episode not talking about the game. So, so for this week, we're going back into a bit of old territory for us. We're talking about a fighting game. It's been a bit since we. Oh no, actually it hasn't, because I forgot about the Mortal Kombat 2.
Yes, but that was kind of like unofficial.
True, and they're working on a 3 port. I saw, which
Oh, they are.
which will be interesting.
Ooh, that'll be good. I'm
But,
excited
I
for
think-
that.
The last official fighter we talked about was Samurai Showdown. I want to say
I think so. That sounds right. Because do we do that with Aaron?
yes.
Okay, yeah.
So the game we're talking about for this week is Primal Rage. This game is like one of those fighters that I've seen it everywhere, but I've never actually deep dived into it until the preparation for this episode.
Yeah, this is a weird one. Doing the prep for this episode, I didn't realize it was made by Atari.
Atari Games.
That I did not know. And it's definitely one of those games that's been on just about everything you can think of. Like I first learned of this game through AVGN, when his Sega 32X video, where he's playing Invisible Primal Rage because he didn't have like the connector cable. And I was always like, that looks like a really interesting game, but it was definitely released in a very specific time. It came to the arcades when I was born. That's insane. That's
We just made
sorry.
Matt feel old.
I'm sorry.
You're going to do that a lot. It's fine. I'm used to it.
Yeah, well, it said it was released August '94, and I'm like that is my birthday.
Oh, I wasn't born. Wonderful.
I was, but yeah, it feels like this game when it was released was very like it was emblematic of a very specific time where fighting games were all the rage in the arcades, and they were coming to the consoles, and people were digging them, and Atari was like, people like weird digitized games where things bleed, so we're gonna do that, but we're gonna up the ante. They're gonna like fart and puke and piss and shit on everything. Because also, this is the 90s, so gross out humor is real popular, Booger
Plus,
Man and all that
Jurassic
stuff.
Park was a thing, so dinosaurs.
Yes, dinosaurs, Jurassic Park. It's literally they looked at 94 and were like, what's popular right now? Okay, can we combine this together into a game? And then they did, but they forgot to make a good game.
We're already here. So fun little thing, because I know this confuses a lot of people. When we say Atari Games, because Atari is one of the most confusing companies in video games, this isn't Atari. Everyone knows Atari Inc. went out of business. Well, went bankrupt. They split it in half. Atari Games was the arcade division that made everything that was good about Atari. Atari Corp was the computer division who made the hardware. Corp went on, eventually got bought by Hasbro. Hasbro got bought by Infogrames. Infogrames just decided Infogrames is a stupid name. We're just going to call ourselves Atari. That's the Atari that everyone knows today.
I think the only reason they called themselves Infogrames was because they were like, we're going to trademark Infogames. and someone was like, "Oh, that's already trademarked." They're like, "Just add a letter, Groms, sure. Who cares?"
Meanwhile, Atari Games, on the other hand, was owned by Namco at one point. Then it was later bought by Time Warner, and then Time Warner eventually spun it off into Midway, and then it died with Midway. So that's the story of Atari.
So did Time Warner buy Midway? Because this Atari merged into Midway, right?
No, they merged into Time Warner, because Time Warner actually bought. This is where the Atari is confusing. Time Warner actually bought the original Atari Inc. And when they split off the company, they kept a small percentage of games, not Corp. Corp was actually bought by the guy who founded Commodore.
Oh, Trammell?
Yeah, and that's why he made it. That's why they mostly made computers after they split.
Well, because I think Trammell was owning Atari when the video game crash happened.
Yes, because
I think at that time he had bought them, or like he was running them because they were owned by Warner Communications at the time.
Yes, because he famously shelved the 7800 when it actually, if it had come out when it was supposed to, it actually probably would have been a pretty good system. Yeah. But he ended up shelving it, and then when the NES came out, he went, "Oh yeah, we have this thing. This might be able to compete," and it flopped off miserably.
I mean, to be fair, at the time, I could see him being a little weary with video games because of the whole crash.
Because the 5200 was a disaster, and then
and they were just supporting the 2600 still, and so they're like, when the NES came out, they're like, oh, video games are fine now. Okay, we'll come back, as if nothing happened.
Well, it's funny because in Japan and Europe, nothing did happen. Like there was no crash.
Yeah, it was a pure American thing. I mean, because like in Europe, they had their own. It was a very like a homebrew thing, like especially in the UK, where like you had all these weird guys making games, and then they would just like kind of trade them, like how almost like cassette trading was, and like say the punk scene in the 80s. It was kind of the same thing, but video game floppy disks, if you could imagine.
But going back to that, Atari Games, the company that made Primal Rage, they were the people that basically made all of the games that you know Atari for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they did like Gauntlet, Marble Madness, Paperboy, all that stuff. And yeah, they were because you said Time Warner bought them, and that merged them into Midway.
Yes.
So all that stuff became Midway stuff, and then Midway died, and then Warner Brothers owns all that stuff now.
They own some of it. It's hard to know where all the Midway stuff went. Exactly.
And the trash.
Probably. The fun thing about Atari Games, though, is during most of the 90s and 80s, most people, when they thought Atari Games, the company that they were actually thinking of was Tengen, because Atari couldn't use their own name because Atari Corp had the rights to use it for publishing. So they had to make up the Tengen name. And that's the company that famously gave us games like Awesome Possum and the much better version of Tetris and a whole bunch of other.
Are y'all as confused as I am? I hope so.
This is Atari, and somehow it's more confusing than 3DO.
Yeah, Atari's its own weird web of bullshit, and they still exist nowadays, but they're kind of
this Atari.
It was Infogrames. They came back, and then they were just like, "Oh, we have the Atari. We're just going to call ourselves Atari. Why not?" And nobody complained. They're like, "Sure, call yourself Atari if you want."
But that was a really roundabout way of saying this game was made by the arcade Atari.
Yeah, it's a mess because like Atari is now like a French company. I think it's whatever. But anyways, yeah. No, I think so because like Infogrames was French, I believe.
You're right.
So I don't. Who fucking cares? Anyway, Primal Rage. Yeah. So this came out August '94. It was made by Atari Games, and yes, it was them trying to sort of capitalize on a craze. But Stormageddon, you were there. Tell us your experience.
So I remember Primal Rage in the arcades. I played it. I was probably around 10 when this came out, and I really liked it. It had one of those track screens that like looked impressive. You saw all the digitized graphics, and it's like, oh, I want to play this. There's blood, whatever. And I remember enjoying it as a kid, and then finding out that when the 32X came out, there was a version of it for the 32X, and I was one of the 5 people in the United States who had a 32X and bought every good game for it. There were like 5 of them. So I played
you bought
this a
one
lot.
of those for $150 at the time.
Yeah, sure
Oh
did.
man.
And so yeah, so I played that, and so I played it a ton on the 32X. I don't know that I ever beat it, but I do know the 32X. I think it had a story, but there was no like voiceover or anything. So when I booted up the 3DO version for the first time, and there was this whole intro movie with VO about the narrative about what happened, I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like the original Genesis for the 32X version definitely did not have that.
The cutscenes in this game reminded me so much of like those early '90s like educational films you'd watch in like elementary school. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah. It shows like
wild.
a meteor crashing into the earth, and it's
So
like you think it killed the dinosaurs, but it didn't, or something. I don't even remember. Tell
so
us, Bill.
to briefly summarize it via the Wikipedia plot summary, a massive meteor strike has devastated Earth. Human civilization has come to an. This is the grammar. Ooh. Human civilization comes to an end in the ensuing cataclysms, and humanity regresses into tribes of Stone Age dwellers. A primordial rainforest covers the land, and the continental landmass has shifted into the shape of a fire-breathing dinosaur skull because
Hell
that is
yeah.
metal as fuck.
It's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
The planet is now primitively referred to as Earth. That's URTH. That sounds like a metal band from like the 80s that was
Yeah.
like really into black metal or something.
That sounds like a
Um,
boss in like Joe and Mac.
Maybe. um, 7 fearsome creatures with supernatural abilities emerge from their slumber deep within Earth's crust and become worshipped as gods by humans who form segregated clans beneath the ones they follow. The beasts themselves are divided between those who wish to keep peace on Earth and those who attempt to plunge the world into further chaos for their own benefit. You know, I didn't think we'd find a plot more crazy than Siberia, but this is up there.
I mean, it's a pretty simple plot. It's just the idea that Primal Rage has a plot at all is like kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not a thing that I've thought about at all since playing it. But I played it a lot growing up. And so like I was excited to revisit it for this, mostly because no idea if it was still good. There are tons of fighting games I loved as a kid that didn't hold up. And so it's like this may or may not hold up. And after playing it and I beat the story mode, which admittedly didn't take very long, it was fine. Like I don't think it's bad, but it's definitely not great. It's kind of a run-of-the-mill. It's interesting because it's got a control scheme that's similar to fighting games, but not the same. You hold buttons and press directions instead of
Yeah.
pressing the buttons after pressing the directions, which took some getting used to. But once I kind of sorted it, it wasn't too bad. But it was unique for the time, and I think is still a unique fighting game worth trying. I don't think it set the world on fire. I don't think it's one of the best fighting games ever or a hidden gem, but I like it. I think it's fun. It's just bizarre as hell.
Yeah. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, it sold more than 1.5 million copies. I don't know if that's just like the arcade or if it's like the arcade and all the home versions. That I can't say. But I mean, yeah, the game has definitely left a mark in some of like the weird niche retro game community stuff. Like people remember this game.
You know what game series this game reminded me of?
Rampage.
No, but that actually is a good. I actually, well, I was thinking fighting games. This reminded me a lot of Bloody Roar. For anyone
Yeah.
who remembers Bloody Roar.
3D
That is-
fighter. where
That's
you
an interesting
transform into-
comparison.
Transform into animals.
That was another series that started really good and then just like fell off a cliff like towards the end.
Yeah. Well, and this
Um,
game famously, I think, has a canceled sequel that never came out.
Yes, and also this game for a long time was hard to emulate because
Mhm.
I guess it was like I think it was the arcade version specifically was kind of weird. But I think I think somebody recently found like a Primal Rage 2 board and like put it out there. Like it wasn't that long ago.
I think Matt McMuscles covered it for What Happened on YouTube. I believe he did a whole video on it. I think he showed some of it. That in
Yeah.
there.
I mean, it's definitely a game that I think they were trying to make it a franchise because they said they made like toys and comics and they're trying to make it like a big thing, probably because they thought they just had this really like this idea that would just catch like say like a Mortal Kombat and they were just like ready for it. But like at its core, I just think Mortal Kombat was a much more structurally sound fighting game than Primal Rage. Because a lot of what Primal Rage does, I think it's trying to be different.
Yeah.
It's not doing the Street Fighter stuff because that's like real technical and complex. It's not trying to be Mortal Kombat, which is definitely more on the simpler side, but I've always preferred that. It's trying to sort of copy Mortal Kombat without copying Mortal Kombat. Like as you said, Matt, like you have to hold like 2 or 3 buttons and then tap the combination on the control pad, and that is weird. You know, it doesn't feel right. And
It
also
reminded me of Kasumi Ninja of all things on this Jaguar.
Kasumi Ninja does the same. Well, I think Kasumi Ninja, if I remember correctly, one of the buttons is like a dedicated special attack. Like you hold that button and then tap the directions to do your various things. I mean, that game is trash. This game is so much better than Kasumi
But
Ninja.
it has Angus, like one of the greatest fighting game characters of all time.
I mean, if they put Angus in Primal Rage, then this game would be an A+.
Just imagine like dinosaurs and then random Scotsmen.
Like shooting fireballs out of his dick. I mean, it kind of fits because you're like farting on your enemies. It weirdly fits.
So,
but yeah, it's also like it doesn't have dedicated punch or kick buttons. It'll just have like fast or like quick, and then like hard or whatever. It almost reminds me of like say Soul Calibur, where Soul Calibur doesn't have like dedicated like punch or kick buttons. You just have various attack buttons. And I don't know. It's just weird.
So it's kind of interesting. I was reading into the ports because this game was ported to pretty much everything at the time.
Yes.
The port, I got a little concerned when I saw who was making the port because this company always gives me like the heebie-jeebies because of other games they've made. It was developed by Probe is the Yuji Naka company. Probe Entertainment.
Oh, yeah, Acclaim.
They later became one of the many Acclaim studios before Acclaim, who is also back now.
Yeah, I forgot.
It was one of those studios, but they did the Genesis Mortal Kombat port, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But they also did that god awful Batman Forever game on Super Nintendo.
Oh.
Well, like I think Acclaim handled all of the ports for like the Midway stuff at the time, like Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, because Midway was more focused on the arcade stuff, and they didn't think that the home console was worth like dealing with. So they were just like outsourcing it to like Acclaim and all that stuff. But then once the home ports started becoming really popular and the gaming industry was shifting to that, that's when Midway was trying to like make it up. And I think Primal Rage is another example of that, of them just focusing on the arcade side and just letting somebody else handle the home ports.
Another interesting thing too was for the 3DO version, the game was technically published by Time Warner everywhere, but for 3DO, the game's rights were actually purchased by Gold Star.
Yeah, it has a little Gold Star thing at the front.
So the thing with that, I was reading into it a little bit. Panasonic actually published a bunch of 3DO games like that we've covered in the past, and that was because famously Panasonic was not making any money off of the 3DOs because they were only getting money for the console sold, and famously there wasn't a lot of 3DS sold. But they were publishing a bunch of games to kind of recoup some of the losses. Gold Star was making even less money. So they also would grab a few games here and there. And this was actually one of the games Gold Star paid for the rights to.
Because they thought this would be a surefire winner.
I mean, who doesn't love dinosaurs? To be fair, my fascination with this game as a kid was probably because I loved dinosaurs and I loved King Kong. And that's basically this is basically kaiju fights the game, but with dinosaurs, except for whatever Viper is, because not really based on a dinosaur, whereas the rest of them are.
It's like close enough.
It's right. Exactly. They made up their own dinosaur, which we've done a lot. And I know folks out there saying, yeah, but these dinosaurs should have feathers now because we found out they had feathers. I don't care. Shut up. I like scaly dinosaurs.
This is the 90s, guys. Calm down.
Yeah.
94. We had no idea.
No.
It's not that big a deal. I mean, and yeah, like I think Jurassic Park was the year prior to this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge hit. So dinosaurs were really in vogue at this point as well.
Yeah. But I agree. It's definitely a very weird game, but I expected it to actually be harder to play going back to it because like I said, I played the original Mortal Kombat games. I love Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, and they play fine, but like compared to where we are now, you can feel the age. Whereas here, like once I understood how the controls worked, I didn't. Now, to be fair, I emulated the 3DO version on the 4DO on the PC, and so who knows what it's doing on the back end. I know it wasn't helping the sound chip, that's for sure, because often the sound would like loop or get stuck.
Yeah. weirdly enough, I moved over to Opera on RetroArch, and the sound was so much better.
Yeah.
And that was weird because usually 4DO runs these games so much better, and this was the one that was giving me issues. But when I went to RetroArch, it was just fine.
But it was
I mean,
totally playable.
It still had issues though.
Right. But I ended up having a good time with it. Now, of course, I played it for like 2 hours. I didn't play it for, 8 hours or 10 hours. So that, your results may vary. But for the time I spent with it to refresh for the podcast, I had a good time. And I think if you want to play a quirky fighting game, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
For me, it was interesting because it passed the brute force test, which is a test I do with fighting games where it's like, there's two ways to play them. You can either get really good at the combos and everything and actually play competitively, or you can just mash buttons and see how far you get.
Right.
You can play this game by mashing buttons and you'll get pretty far.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to strategize a little bit, especially if you bump the difficulty, but it's not as bad as like say 3D Balls, which that game you button mash. There's no strategy involved. You just mash. You just mash your balls and hope you win, right? Whereas Primal Rage at least is attempting to have like sort of tech.
Yeah.
To use that word. It's not fucking Blaze Blue, but like it's like trying to have some kind of tech there. But I just think the developers who were making it just didn't know enough about fighting games to really put in that kind of a tech. Like they played Mortal Kombat and was like, oh, this is something we can definitely work off of. But I think people tend to underestimate how good of a fighting game they were, like Mortal Kombat was. Like, yeah, the blood and gore was like a big event thing, but I don't think anybody would have gave a shit if the game wasn't fun to play.
Yeah.
And totally. It is. It's very simplistic, and the computer fucking cheats, but it is still a
90s fighting game.
Yeah, but it's still at its core is like a fun fighting game. Whereas I think Primal Rage is that core is kind of shaky. You know, like, and it feels like it's more spectacle based. Like, oh, isn't that funny? You could like, this like the monkey can piss on the dinosaur. Isn't that hilarious? And it's like, it is. But at the end of the day, fighting games get adopted by people who play them to like get really good at them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Primal Rage ever sort of got that kind of fan base.
See, for me, like I don't know if it was just me or not, but like I could not do the fatalities, whatever they're called in this game, for the life of me. Like
the move sets to do them are really weird. Like say if we're playing like Diablo, right? And the only reason I main Diablo is because as a kid I had a dinosaur toy that looked exactly like him, to the point where I'm thinking, did I have a Primal Rage toy as a kid and I just didn't realize it? Because it's like the exact same design.
It's possible because that's something Atari would do.
Yeah, it's possible. And it's like, yeah, if you want to like shoot a fireball, you hold like 1 and 3 and do your down towards thing, but like if you want to do these fatalities, it's like, oh, hold all 4 buttons and then tap like this 8 sequence D-pad thing, like up, toward, or whatever. Like it's a little too complicated.
It was, but like with Diablo, he had one that he just shot a fireball and they got burned, it like charred and fell to the ground. That one was just like hold 3 buttons and tap forward 4 times. And so I did that every time. Once I realized how to do it. Yeah, I picked Diablo. Diablo and Blizzard were always my 2 favorite characters when I played it growing up, although I'm sure I played as all of them at some point. But mostly I picked Diablo this time just because his moves were easier to execute. For whatever reason, I couldn't get Blizzard's moves to work reliably, but I could get, especially like I got very good at Diablo's teleport, where if he reappears near you, you get hurt. I got very good at that. But again, the characters... I think it's complex. The characters are complex by the nature of what they did to make the controls unique, not because it's actually a challenging game to play. I think once you know the moves and know the shtick, it's just like trying down a forward low punch in every fighting game because it's ingrained in our brains from Street Fighter. It's the same idea. Once you know how these controls work, they're easy to execute. It's just who would think to hold those 3 buttons and press those directions, right? You have to figure it out.
Yeah, like it's trying so hard to be its own unique thing, but there are just some certain foundational things about fighting games it just kind of needs to have for people to be able to take that knowledge over to this game and have some more entertainment with it,
Yeah.
What did you think of the graphics overall? Like I
kind of like them.
Yeah. Like so I I emulated the 32X version as well, and I think I tried to get the Atari Jaguar CD version running and failed miserably because
Is the 32X considered the best home port? Because I tried looking it up and I
no.
got varied responses.
I don't think there is considered a good home port. It's one of those kind of situations. So I'm looking at reviews. It's very all over the place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the Genesis port actually has surprisingly decent reviews from most sites.
And it's weird that this game got ported to PlayStation, and I'm like, I just cannot see this game on
And
PS1.
Saturn.
And
The Saturn port was very late, like 96.
I can see this game on Saturn, but I cannot see it on PlayStation 1. I have no idea why. So my brain just doesn't want to.
I should have emulated the PS1 version and played it on my Steam Deck. See how that turned out. That would have been fun. But I wanted to stay true to the 3DO message. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the graphics are actually really impressive for the time. And like, I don't know, I also have a soft spot for either rotoscoped or like digitized graphics. It's just such a cool idea that just doesn't exist anymore, really. Because technology has kind of evolved beyond it. Like we digitized those graphics because we wanted it to look quote unquote real. Whereas now we were talking about The Last of Us earlier, we can make it look really real just based on the graphics and the power of the consoles. And so like, I have a soft spot for this graphic style, but I don't think any of it was particularly ugly. It's a little smudgy and like it's not flawless, but I think digitized graphics like sprites, because they are of a time and a style, I think they age pretty well, because I still think Mortal Kombat 2 looks pretty great. And Mortal Kombat 3, I will fight people. Like, I think that's a very impressive looking video game, especially for the time. But yeah, I think that this game, like again on the 3DO, looked a little smudgy, but all in all was like the cutscenes were laughably bad.
Well,
but like,
yeah, that was
god,
that was early 90s CGI.
Right, it's bad CGI, but I thought the digitized graphics actually held up quite well, and even the music, like not a standout soundtrack, but like not a bad soundtrack. Like it sounded pretty good.
Yeah, it fits with everything. Yeah,
right.
And
there was never a point where I muted the screen.
Yeah, and I love that those cutscenes, they look like, I don't know, like Project Silicon or whatever, when Nintendo was showing like what would have been the N64, and it just kind of looks like that kind of graphics. But yeah, but for the in-game stuff with the stop motion animation, my first thought when I saw it was, oh, they probably used like claymation figures, like say what Mortal Kombat did with Goro, Kentaro, and Shiva. They were all like claymation figures. But apparently what they did was they did craft like model figures, but they actually had like metal bracing inside of them, so that, you know, they could move them around and they would just be more durable. And that probably allowed for, because the animation is surprisingly smooth.
Yeah,
probably, as well as being for stop motion.
Yeah, it doesn't jump very much. Like you can see the fluidity of the movement more or less. Like some of the attacks have a little bit of a jump between frames, but that was pretty standard at the time. But for the most part, like looks pretty fluid for what is ultimately a claymation fighter.
I was out of curiosity, I booted up the Mortal Kombat 2 port again just to get another look at that. I don't think it's fair to compare that, because that's obviously a port that's been made nowadays with all the resources in the world for 3DO.
Yeah.
But I also took a look at Way of the Warrior, Thrax's favorite 3DO game.
This game is better than Way of the Warrior.
I was going to ask that later. Way of the Warrior looks rough. Granted, that was recorded in Jason Rubin's apartment with a bed sheet on the walls. So.
Yeah, because they were making a porno, and they're like, no, we're making a fighting game. They're like, that's
his neighbor. His neighbor was like, sure.
A fighting game.
But I played a bit of that, and I was kind of like just kind of comparing, because it was the closest comparison I could find on 3DO for like that style of fighting game. And yeah, Way of the Warrior is still rough. This game is rough, but in like a much better aged way, I'd say.
Yeah. And also, I think with Mortal Kombat 2, I think with all the Mortal Kombat games, like they did the stop motion animation, but they definitely went in with the. I think with 2 more specifically, like they touched them up.
Yeah.
Like past. So in a lot of ways, with like say Mortal Kombat 2, you could just say they're just like, you know, kind of 2D animation, and I don't think anybody would notice because they're very cartoony.
Yeah.
In the post effects, whereas it feels like 1 was trying to be more kind of just like the raw stop motion. 2 was very kind of cartoony, and then 3, I think, found a bit of a even spot between them, and I think that's why 3 also like Ultimate 3 and Trilogy have aged so well because
Yeah.
they look really, really good. Like you get the best of the stop motion and then like kind of touching them up with 2D stuff later on.
And I think this has aged pretty well in a similar way because it's like giant kaiju like beasts. There's like already a suspension of disbelief whenever anything is going for, like, I love GoldenEye with my whole heart. Like GoldenEye 64 is a favorite game, but like it looks bad. It looks bad. It was trying to be realistic and it looks bad. But that's like, I love the polygon charm of it. But like something like this, I think ages so much better because it's, again, you have design. I love, and I've said this on the podcast, I love the realism of the Sony flagship titles. I think it's impressive and it's great. But when we get a game like Astrobot, or we get a game like South of Midnight, or we get a game that has art direction and design that's not just make it look real, the art direction is impressive in the flagship titles for Sony. I don't deny that. But like, I like art direction that's imaginative and that is fanciful, and this is that, right? Like, it's not based in reality, though they do go for a level of realism with like the dinosaur style and that. But I will always take a game like this where it's just nutty and over the top over like realistic graphics any day of the week. I think that's where it's why I play so many indie games, and I like so many like titles that just have this kind of charm to them. And this definitely has a kind of charm. It's a ridiculous 90s poop and piss kind of charm, but it's still a charm nonetheless.
Yeah. When you're not shooting for realism, you tend to age a lot better.
Yeah.
As well. Like, and yeah, the N64 era is a prime example of that. Like how certain games I think look better than others. Like I'm playing Mario 64, and it's like that one isn't as aged graphically as a lot of the other games on the system because it's not trying to be realistic. It's just trying to be Mario.
Yeah.
So, and it has like a familiarity to it. So we don't think of it as like aged in the same way. And I think, yeah, Primal Rage does a good job of like having a kind of distinctive art style and not trying too hard to make it super realistic, you know? And plus you can eat the people on the ground.
Yeah. To heal
the followers.
Yeah,
As according to the plot.
which is a really nice touch. I thought that was a really cool touch.
It's clever. It's very clever.
Yeah, but if you want to play like another kind of kaiju fighting game from this era, there was one that came out for the Super Nintendo. It was in Japan only, and it was called Godzilla Kaiju Daikessen, and it's like a Godzilla 2D fighter, and it has all the major Godzilla monsters from the era. It was meant to come over from Japan on the Super Nintendo, but it got canceled for some reason. And that is a game I very much recommend. That's basically Street Fighter, but Godzilla. Like that's
awesome. I didn't even know that existed, so I'll definitely play it.
It is a really cool game. I think it has a fan translation.
Like, well, I'm one of the 3 people still clamoring for another Godzilla Melee game, like the GameCube game. Like, I want
also made by Atari.
I want another Arena Fighter Godzilla game. I loved those games so much; they were so fun. I want another one.
Yes, I played Destroy All Monsters Melee on the GameCube.
Yeah, that's
so
the one.
Much, and I loved that game. And I love that they threw the melee at the end. Like that's an obvious, like because of Smash Brothers. But
yeah,
I still have fond memories of that game. And I've been meaning to. I've never played Save the Earth.
It's also good, but like Destroy All Monsters, like Melee is the best of them. But that one was also very good.
Yeah, and yeah, I love those games so much. They are. I played one of them. I think it was Destroy All Monsters recently. They are janky as hell.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, most games from that era are, but it's like it's that fun kind of jank.
Oh, yeah. But it's so good. I forgive it. It can be jank because it's exactly as I remember.
I mean, we said earlier Sonic Adventure 1. That game is like the definition of jank, but I love it.
I had a blast. I replayed it last year and like didn't have many glitches, breezed through it. Even I said on the internet, we all overreacted to the cat levels. They are not as hard as everyone says they are.
You can beat them in like 3 seconds if you know what you're doing.
Yep, totally.
Blame Aaron Hansen for that.
Oh, absolutely. I'll blame Aaron for
forcing glitches that are very well known. Yes. But that's besides the point. So yeah, Primal. I was looking at some of the reviews, just out of curiosity, like across the board for this game. It was definitely so. The game was a commercial success, but it suffered from very polarizing reviews. Like this one, just looking across like all the. So I'll go with like the main well-known reviewers. Like we got Famitsu, who gave the Saturn version a 19 out of 40. But then you go to IGN, IGN was even worse. They gave the PS1 version a 4 out of 10. Who liked this game? Sega Power gave the Genesis version a 91.
Just that very like pondering who liked this game.
I was like, oh, I'll go to the well-known reviewers. They surely like. I was like, Game Fan. What game? So this is another thing I love about looking at reviews and all their really dumb reviewing styles that they use. Like, Game Fan has, rather than out of 100, it's out of 300.
The only thing I could guess is maybe that's like a Famitsu thing where they have like 3 different people give it a grade of 100 and they combine them together. Because I was always like, why does Famitsu do the 40? And that's what they do. They have four people who rate it out of 10 and they just combined it.
I love the foreign publications as well, like Hobby Consolas. Like,
Yeah.
that's just fun.
It's just fun to say.
Or Jeux Video, which apparently still exists.
Oh, This game came out on PC as well, and PC Gamer gave it a 90%.
Hell yeah. There you go, PC.
Good job, PC.
Yeah, this game also came out on Game Boy. I forgot.
It was on everything. This was one of those
Game
games
Boy,
that literally was
Gear.
on every platform.
I think I may own the Game Gear version of this.
So what's really fun is I'm trying to find one 3DO review here, and apparently the only company that did a 3DO review was Next Generation, who gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Fair.
All
Cruelly
game
fair.
All Game reviewed the Atari Jaguar CD version and also gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
They got that thing to run.
They got one of like the 4 working ones on the planet.
So somebody needed a working one, I guess.
I saw one at the retro gaming convention that I go to locally near me.
$500.
$600, and
Fuck.
it wasn't tested. They were like, "It's unopened. You're buying at your own risk." And I'm just like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, thank you."
Well, that Jaguar emulator I told you about, it runs Jaguar CD perfectly.
Oh,
as well.
nice.
So
You can play the Highlander game
why
play
would
the
you
Highlander.
want
Whether you
to?
want to or not.
Yeah,
because it's like the only significant game that came out on that.
I'd rather
thing.
watch Highlander 2.
The quickening.
What's a shithead?
So every episode we always do must play okay, stay away. This one was actually one of the harder ones for me because like I don't dislike this game like some games we've played in the past, but I also don't think it's particularly a must play. I'm probably gonna say okay. Like it's not an offensive game by any means. Like it is perfectly functioning.
Depending on who you ask, this game did have controversy back in the day over the pissing fatality, like I mentioned. Somebody got mad. They got pissed off at that.
I'm sure.
I'm not even kidding. No,
No,
it was
I believe it. I believe it.
Let's see. In 1996, some Arizona person launched a grassroots campaign against the game after their 11-year-old son bought and played the Genesis version and executed Chaos's urination fatality. The campaign resulted in Best Buy pulling the game from 251 stores nationwide. In response, Time Warner pointed out that Ravella never complained to Time Warner, instead taking the issue directly to the media, and that the game was clearly rated T for teen and should not have been purchased by her 11-year-old son in the first place. They resubmitted the game for evaluation, who determined the game had nothing in it to merit increasing the game to M or AO, so they kept it with the T. And after the reevaluation, Best Buy put their versions back on the shelves, except for the Genesis version, which they said they would only sell if it were rated M, even though most home versions of the game contained all the same fatalities and gore.
Interesting.
That's just in there.
I'm more impressed that the child was able to pull off the pissing fatality more than anything.
That is a tough fatality to pull off. So
I mean,
credit
a
to
lot of them are, yeah. Like 11-year-old being able to pull off that fatality, I'm impressed. I'm
Yeah.
just personally impressed.
And it's always just so funny whenever we see these sort of video game controversies after the ESRB is existing, and it's like it was made to counteract this stuff. So like, why are you letting your 11-year-old child play this game?
It's always funny to me looking at the rating system back then and how like the games that would get like T or M ratings, like nowadays probably would get E10, like at most.
Yeah, I'm wondering what Primal Rage would get these days.
I'm assuming probably still T.
Yeah. There's enough stuff in there to make it a T game.
Like I still laugh about Thrill Kill, the famous unreleased AO rated play game, and you look at Thrill Kill and you're like, this is not AO. This is like this is barely M at this point. Oh man. But yeah, so I'm gonna say okay Primal Rage.
I'm gonna say okay as well. I think if you have a weird fascination with like just random 90s games, I think this is a perfect game to play. It's not perfect. You know, it has a lot of issues, and definitely if you want to play better fighting games from this era, there's a whole bunch of them to play. And hell, even if you want to play games with like giant monsters fighting each other, there's that Godzilla one. There's
King of Monsters.
King of Monsters. There's a game called War of the Monsters on PS2, which is a really underrated game. You have other options to play, but Primal Rage is definitely worth a try. You know, who knows? You might actually really like it.
Yeah, I think I would say it's a must play if you are a fighting game fanatic and want to try every kind of fighting game. But to general public or someone who just dabbles in fighting games, I would say it's an okay rating. I agree with what you both said. I loved my time with it, though brief, because I was nostalgic for it. But I think someone without any nostalgia going into this would still probably have a decent time if they looked up the controls ahead of time. But it's not doing anything mind-blowing that I think is like a must see. But on the other hand, it held up better than I thought it would. I really did I picked this because I had nostalgia for it, but I absolutely expected us to poop all over it, and we didn't. And so like I'm actually really happy that it held up better than I thought it would, and that it's worth giving a shot if you're curious.
Like the way I kind of think about it is like when I compare it to the other fighters we've covered on 3DO, the way I kind of like would gauge my interest is like how I felt while playing it. Like going back to like Balls, I was like, I just want to be done with this. This is the music is driving me insane. Like it was that kind of thing.
That's a game that made me feel like I was a 9-year-old who ate too much sugar.
Yeah. Like Way of the Warrior, I saw the potential. Yeah, I know. I will
say Way of the Warrior has a better soundtrack.
Well,
but I mean,
because it's just a White Zombie album.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you put the White Zombie music in Primal Rage, I think it bumps it a little bit.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It also helps too. It's one of the best White Zombie albums too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Street Fighter on a 3DO, we've already been over it. It is actually at the time it was the best port of Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah. Primal Rage is not coming anywhere near Capcom or SNK. Okay, it's not. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's not happening.
Yep.
Yeah, but the roundabout way of what I'm trying to say is when I played through this, I had a good time. I was never like trying to get through it just to be done. I enjoyed what I played, and when I was done, I was like, that was fun. Probably not going to play it again anytime soon, but I liked my few minutes playing it here.
It's definitely a game I could see in the future me just going like, let me just play it again just to see how it is. Mess around with it for half an hour and go, I'm Primal Raged, and then move on.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think that's just about it. Actually, at this point, I'd like Matt, would you like to shout out your show?
Sure. So, one, I just want to thank you both for having me. I'm a big fan of your work. I appreciate y'all coming on our shows and all the interactions we've had across multiple Discord servers in our community. I really love the SuperPod network. I've been on a bunch of the shows on the network, and I'm honored to be here. And we'll have to find some other obscure game that I can get running on my emulator to come back and talk about. But as for me, you can find all of my stuff at djstormageddon.com. I do 2 video game podcasts. One is Fun and Games. I host with the incredible Jeff Moonen. It broadly is a topic-based video game podcast. We do console retrospectives, genre retrospectives, franchise retrospectives. We interview game developers, composers. We talk about different topics like, is grinding in games good? Signposting in games, do we need it or do we don't? What's the difference between difficulty and frustration when playing through an old game? Things like that. And really great chats. We've had a ton of great guests. And then within that feed, we have a sub-series called Side Quests, which is a different host every episode talking about a game they love and why they love it. Bill's done an episode. Thrax's done an episode. I will have to have you guys come back and do another one. But basically, it's this idea that every game is somebody's favorite. And we like to give a platform for people to talk about games free of judgment or discourse on the internet, because the internet sucks. But this is a safe place to talk about a game you love, because good, bad, or indifferent, we all love a game we love for whatever reason we love it. Quality is irrelevant to that most of the time. And then the other podcast I do is called Reignite. Started as a Mass Effect playthrough podcast. We finished the trilogy, then did Andromeda, which I played for the first time on the podcast, ended up enjoying. And now we've made the natural progression to Dragon Age. We are currently playing through Dragon Age 2. And basically the pitch of the show is me and my co-host, Frankie Bradley Lestrange. We put ourselves in the roles of the hero, the main character, and make decisions as we would make them in those moments. And more importantly, what aliens or fantasy characters we would romance and smooch, because that's the most important thing about those games. And so if you want to hear...
Garrus, of course.
Boo. So mainstream. Thane.
Who doesn't love Garrus, though?
I do like Garrus, but Thane for me, Thane will always have my heart.
I can see that.
But yeah, and so it's fun, and we have guests on, and it's just been a great way to re-engage with those games, especially since I and Frankie have changed a lot over the years, and these are favorite games of ours. And so if either of those interest you, like I said, all of the links to that is at djstormageddon.com. If you want to interact with me, I'm most active in the various Discords I'm in, like the Superpod Network Discord, or you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm djstormageddon.com over there, because Twitter's a hell site, and I refuse to ever go back. So yeah, that's it for me.
I will say, for my little side quest on Shining Force, I think that was some of the most work I'd ever put in to like a little 10-minute bit of audio. You have no idea. So,
I'm grateful for it, and I would love to have you back. But yeah,
I will say I was super bummed when I was going through the list, and I was like, oh, someone already picked Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah, that one was covered a while ago. Sorry, bud.
I was like, oh well, I'll cover my second favorite game. No, but thanks for coming on. I will be sure to put all your links down in the description for this podcast, and I'll be definitely shouting you out once I post to the Discords, as we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe next week our plan is we're going to cover Who Shot Johnny Rock.
yes.
I reached out to our guest. He hasn't got back to me, but I'm pretty sure he'll be joining us for that.
We should just do it anyways.
Yeah.
Nah. Casey's great.
Yeah, because he actually had a 3DO as a kid.
Probably the only guest we have.
But that being said, anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on the 3DO Experience. So you can find the 3DO Experience on all the major podcasting platforms. And be sure to check us out over at the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com. It's an awesome site where you can find a whole bunch of different podcasts, videos, blogs. I believe we're currently wrapping up a series of blogs on our favorite PS1 games from our childhood. I think Nomad actually just put out a blog on Resident Evil, I think it was.
Yes,
today.
The original Resident Evil. Fantastic blog.
And Thrak has done one on Medal of Honor, and I had done one earlier on Tiny Tank. So be sure to check those out. And once again, guys, thank you for joining us. We will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
If you're not playing on a 3DO system, what are you playing with?